Look, if you want to get rich in your 20s, don't start investing. Right now as I'm making this video, I'm only 22 years old and I've made over $2,600 in profit in one single day by selling online courses and high-ticket programs. And I'm making this video to bust down a couple of myths on how do you get wealthy in your 20s. The first thing I really need you to understand is that investing was never meant to make the average Joe rich. However, if you are already rich, or at least you've got a very good career, you're making 6 figures a year, then investing, whether it be in the stock market or in real estate, that can make you even richer. But let's take the stock market as an example. Even if you invested $100,000 right now, and you got a 10% a year return on your investment, which is the historical average return on investment of the stock market, well, at the end of the year, that would only be $10,000 of interest. Now, of course, year after year, if you leave that money to reinvest it, it's going to grow, of course. And at some point, you'll have a big stack of cash. But the real question is, how long is that going to take? Like, if that's the only thing you're relying on to get rich, and especially getting rich on the time crunch in your 20s. I'll tell you, I've spoken to literally hundreds of people like you and me. I personally grew up in a low middle class family. My father was a nurse and my mother a nursing assistant. So I know what it's like to grow up around a scarcity mindset when we have to literally wonder if we can afford to pay for medical bills or if we can repair the car. And I remember at some point I was speaking to an older guy. He was in his late 40s, early 50s, and his story was very touching. He told me he had done everything right. He had done everything by the book. He worked a good job, like he was an engineer, something like that. And he was making $5,000 a month, like it was a good salary for where he lived. And he had been consistently investing in the stock market a few $100s a month, like for literally decades. Yet, he was still nowhere near financial freedom. He was nowhere near his goals of buying a home, providing for his family, retiring and traveling the world. And he was almost, 60. So that guy did everything right, everything the so-called money experts told him to do. Yet, he still wasn't financially free. He was still working a job he tolerated because it pays the bills. Let's face it, that's most people. You do your job because you kinda have to, otherwise how do you feed yourself? But it's not because you love what you're doing. When I make this kind of content, usually people don't really get my message. They think I'm telling you you should never ever invest in the stock market or real estate or other things, otherwise you're stupid. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, however, is that it only really makes sense to start investing in things like the stock market or real estate, things that require a lot of startup capital to actually see a good return from your investment if you already have at least $100K to $1 million to invest. If you've got less than that, less than 50K if we want to be conservative, it's not worth investing in these kinds of things yet, unless you don't mind getting rich extremely slow. Like if you love your job and you want to be able to retire more comfortably in the future, you want to do it super passively, okay fine, invest in the stock market or in real estate on the side. But if your goal is to make money while you're still young to enjoy your life, you want to make fuck you money in your 20s, between 10K per month to 100K per month consistently, most of it in profit, then that's not how you should be going about doing things. Otherwise, believe me, I would be the first to pour all my money in the stock market. I think investing in the stock market or real estate, all these things, it's awesome. They're great tools to build wealth. The issue is they need too much money to start and they build wealth too slowly. If you want to learn from me, you want me to share with you my step-by-step strategies that I've used to make upwards of $2,600 in profit in one single day, selling online courses passively and high-ticket programs, you can click on the link in the description below and apply to book a free call with me. If we're a good fit, you'll get the chance to join my premium mentorship program. Right now, if you're in your 20s or even if you're older than that, you've got to ask yourself, what do you want? Chances are if you're watching my channel and you watch Make Money Online content or finance content in general, then you don't want to make money just for the sake of making money. There's a reason behind that. You want to make more money so you can retire early. You want to make more money so you can just spend money on whatever you want without having to stress over it, without having to worry about inflation eating away at your buying power every single year. You want to be able to travel the world, maybe even live a completely luxurious lifestyle if that's what you want. Buy your dream home, your dream car, retire your mom and dad. Those are awesome goals. Like when I think about it, it just makes me happy because that to me is a life worth living. I mean, I'll tell you, I grew up in the low middle class and my father was a nurse and I saw him being so depressed, so miserable. He fell for so many vices and addictions like alcoholism. We had a horrible relationship growing up. And I could see how much pain he was in, to be honest. He was suffering. And it's not like he hid it, so I could clearly see it. And me as his kid, I was the first one to suffer the consequences of that. So ever since I was a kid, I knew what it felt like to work a job you hate. Just because I was surrounded by people who worked jobs they hated, jobs that were underpaying and under-rewarding, Well, just to pay the bills. And I can tell you that's not a life. When you get 2 weeks of vacations per year, and then you can't even afford to go on vacation because you need to repair the car, and you barely have any money, that's not a life. That is fucking depressing. I don't understand how people can settle for that, especially now that we have tools like the internet and ChatGPT, DeepSeek AI, all that stuff at our disposal. I'm always going to tell you it's better if you invest in yourself because you don't know what you don't know. If you already knew how to make $10,000 per month, you would already be making $10,000 per month or more. That's something you've got to accept and to admit to yourself. That's the first step to making more money. Realizing you don't know everything and you need to learn from people who are making more money than you. You can keep your ego if you want and stay broke, or lose the ego and get rich. It's up to you. So technically speaking, nowadays, you can start a business for $0. So what's stopping you really? Other than your fears, your excuses, your limiting beliefs? If you've got no money, then fair enough, you can't really invest in yourself. So it's going to take you much longer to see results. But I mean, if you don't start, you'll never get results. If you say I don't have enough time, well, I've got good news for you. When you do the same business model that I'm doing, when you sell information, you sell education, you make social media content, you sell a course passively or a high-ticket program, you don't need to work like 80 hours a week, really. Whether you make $2K a month or $1 million a year, you don't need to work more. Like, that's the crazy part. And if you want to go past $1 million a year, again, it's not about working more. It's about delegating to the right people, building the right kind of team. So it's not always about working more. That's what the traditional system leads you to believe. That hard work is the only way you're going to make more money. That working long hours and exhausting yourself is the only way. It's not. Maybe it is if you work a regular corporate career or a 9 to 5, but when you have a business, especially an online business, no, it's not. You only need to put in 5 to 15 hours a week to make multiple 6, even multiple 7 figures a year. That's why it's literally the best business model ever. So if your goal is to live what we call the top 1% life, you can travel whenever you want. You've got so much money, you never even look at the price tag of things before you buy anything. Maybe you want to buy your dream car, your dream home, retire your mom and dad, whatever it may be that you want. If that's the kind of lifestyle that you want, you need to ask yourself what's the best path that will get me there and the fastest. Stop listening to all of these so-called money experts. All these people who talk about a 401k and all this fucking garbage. I'm not saying it's worthless. I'm saying it's not gonna make you rich, especially not in your 20s. Instead, you need to start an online business. You could, technically speaking, start a brick and mortar business like a gym, a hair salon, a restaurant, but these are difficult to run, to scale, and first of all, you need a ton of money to start that kind of business. At least 100k. A couple years back, I was working out in a small gym in a small town, and they had this poster on the wall where it literally said, if you want to open up a gym, you have to invest at least 100 grand. Most people don't have 100 grand, and fair enough, you wouldn't take that money out of your pocket, you'd go to the bank, get a loan. But what if they say no? What if for some reason you go to 10 different banks, none of them let you have the loan because your credit score is trash, because you've made the wrong bank decisions? Now you're fucked. And let's say you do manage to get the loan. What if the business just fails? What happens to you then? Now you've got the student loan and the business loan. That's why starting an online business is the easiest way you can make your first 100k to your first $1 million in profit. Now I've got to be honest with you, even within the niche of online business, not every online business is worth it. I first came across the concept of having an online business back when I was only 11 years old. I was just about to turn 12 really. And for a little while, I had been doing research on the internet. I had been typing how to get rich because I suffered from lack of money growing up in the low middle class. And I was reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I was learning that I needed to invest in the stock market, in real estate. Instead of just buying liabilities, I needed to purchase assets. Things that would make me more money instead of taking more money from me. But at the same time, I was wondering like, okay, but how would I have the money in the first place to invest so much in the stock market, in real estate, etc.? And I didn't like the idea of being dependent on a loan from the bank to essentially build my wealth up. And I also knew that was a slow path, like I wasn't going to be rich in my 20s if I followed that path. So for a long time I wondered, surely there's a better way. And then one day, I had the idea to go on YouTube and to type how to get rich. And there I stumbled upon a video that completely changed my life. I'm not even kidding. It was over a decade ago, so back then, not that many people were making content on how to make money online. It was like this very sub-niche kind of thing. Most people weren't aware that was possible. And in that video, this online entrepreneur was showing how he was traveling the world, making between 50k to 80k per month on average. And when I saw that, I was shocked. I was like, wow, that's what my parents make in multiple years. That guy makes it in a month with an online business while traveling the world. I had a huge realization. I needed to start an online business. There was no better opportunity in the whole world. So then I went down the rabbit hole. Now the question became, Okay, well, what's the best online business I could possibly start? Because there were so many different potential business models I could start. There was dropshipping, affiliate marketing, print on demand, selling ebooks on Instagram, selling courses, etc. The list literally never ends. And after analyzing everything for over a decade, I realized one thing. Selling online courses and high-ticket programs is literally the fastest way to make multiple 6, multiple 7 figures per year. While loving what you do and only working a few hours a week, there is no better online business model. When you sell courses or a high-ticket program, your profit margins are extremely high. Between 80% if you're scaling, all the way up to 98% if you're running this as a one-person business model with no advertising. Do you realize how insane this is? When have we ever seen that kind of opportunity in the entire history of the world? Never. So why won't you take advantage of it? Why are you still letting your excuses and your limiting beliefs hold you back? I'll tell you why. Because you're not in enough pain. You don't have enough urgency. If you really wanted to reach your goal that badly, you would do something about it. But from experience, and again, I've spoken to hundreds of people at this point, people who had big goals, big dreams, big ambitions, who wanted to make a ton of money, your current situation really has to be intolerable. It has to be so painful you have to do something about it. Until you reach that point, nothing is going to change and you will stay exactly where you are. I can promise you that. And I would know because for years I stayed stuck in the same situation. I had so much social anxiety I couldn't even go outside. I had no friends, no relationships, no nothing. I wasn't making any money. I hated my life. I was out of shape. I had eating disorders. Life wasn't fun at all. It's not until the day I just got so sick and tired of being like this, of essentially killing my dreams, I told myself, fuck this, I'm gonna change. And I forced myself to do one thing that scared me every single day. And that completely transformed me. Up until that point, nothing ever changed for me. And nothing's ever gonna change for you until you're so sick and tired of where you are that you do whatever it takes to win. The e-learning industry, so selling online courses, digital products, high-ticket programs, etc., it's expected to grow to $500 billion by 2027. So it's just in 2 years, bro. Jump on the bandwagon now before it's too fucking late. I only have one regret. It's not starting years earlier. Because if I had started 5 years ago, 10 years ago, yeah, even though I was only 11 years old, I would have been 10 times wealthier right now. So if you want me to teach you how you can replicate the system that I've used to make upwards of $2,600 in one single day in profit, click the link in the description below, apply for a free one-to-one consultation call, and if we're a good fit, you'll get the chance to join my premium mentorship program where I'm literally gonna help you to build this kind of business until you make 10K per month at the bare minimum. Now, since I do this myself, I have very limited spots and they fill up fast. So click the link in the description below, apply to see if you qualify, and with that said, I'll see you on the other side.